Very different weather conditions when he took his first ever win in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux back at Zandvoort in June in the hot weather. He's been racing in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany this weekend, so double duties for him, testing his fitness. Big crowd here in at the Red Bull Ring. The coats are on, the raincoats are up. The race will start behind the safety car. There is our confirmation of that. You can see the rain coming down, but a big crowd here to witness what has been a fantastic festival of motor racing this weekend at the legendary Red Bull Ring. We've been watching the DTM, we've been watching GT Masters, we've been watching BMW M2 Cup, and we've been watching Porsche Carrera Cup Germany. But Benelux, Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux always entertains. Great racing, pure energy, a short, sharp sprint, 30 minutes of racing plus one lap. And in these conditions, you know it's going to be even more entertaining. So the safety car is now just currently weaving its way through the grid. Here it comes to the top, and hopefully in just a few moments, we will get things rolling. Here we go. The board is about to be held up. I think there's a 30 on the other side of that. And that will give the drivers the notice that they need to know. Yes, it's 5 minutes, not 30 seconds. So we've got 5 minutes until this race gets underway. So good opportunity just to give you another update on where we are at. So just to reiterate, Robert de Haan is provisionally the Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux champion. He succeeds Harry King as the title holder, but it is provisional because the Glenn Van Parijs car did fail scrutineering yesterday, and he is racing under appeal. It means that all results are very provisional until that has been sorted. Cedric Chassang, well, there's no doubt about him winning the AM Championship ahead of Ralph Poplars, who was injured last time out at Zolder. We wish Ralph all the very best for a quick recovery. We hope to see him back out on track very soon. The Pro-Am Championship has gone the way of Sasha Norden. He cannot be caught by Aaron Mason. So the three champions on the grid have been shown the 3-minute board. The engines are running. We also mentioned some visiting drivers. We've seen Zakar and Artem Slutsky, the brothers. We've spoken about Sam Yongyan for JW Race Service. He has only raced a Mazda MX-5s up until this weekend. Already mentioned, he was only 6/10 behind Robert de Haan in his first ever test earlier this week. He's in desperate need of some sponsors because we would love to see him as part of this series next year. A real young talent in the number 11 car. Keep an eye on that. Also, number 39, Jani Kakea for 39 Racing, the Estonian driver racing in the Pro-Am category, made his debut in this series yesterday and won in category. He won. He was 13th over the line in the overall race, but won in the Pro-Am category. He is a driver who's come from Sprint Challenge North European Zone, an ex-motorcycle racer as well. Also good to welcome Pete Aronson back to the grid. Right, let's have a look at that grid, and it is Robert de Haan on pole position with Horst Felix Feldmar alongside. Glenn Van Parijs and Zakar Slutsky are on row 2. Row 3, Sam Yongyan and Gilles Magnus. And on row 4 of the grid, Flint Schering and Dirk Schuten line up alongside each other. Row 5, Sam de Jonge and Artem Slutsky for target competition. Sasha Norden, a champion in Pro-Am, alongside Etienne Pleurnes, and Lucas van Eindhoven lines up with Robin Knutson for company on row 7. Row 8, Ariel Levy from Israel with Cedric Chassang, the AM champion, and then it's Aaron Mason and Jani Kakea on row 9. Juan Vinez and Mike Rosenberg are on row 10. Row 11, Sem Geerts and Jamie Font, and on row 12, Pete Aronson, I just mentioned, and Ad Gitz, father of Sem, and Didier Glorieux bringing up the rear on row 13 all by himself. So the engines are running, the headlights are on. I'm looking out of the window of my commentary position. It is distinctly gloomy. Welcome to autumn, everybody, for this, the final race of the season for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. They have entertained all season long, and now their last chance to shine in the wet. It's Robert de Haan who will lead the cars around on the formation lap, and this is where we'll find out really how slippery it is. The clock has started ticking already. because we are under the yellow flag conditions. So 30 minutes plus 1 lap. I should think Robert De Haan will be quite happy if we did 30 minutes behind the safety car. You can see it is absolutely chucking it down as we look down from turn 3 here at the Red Bull Ring. It is a circuit that is 4.318 kilometers around with 10 turns, 7 to the right and 3 to the left. Lots of elevation change, 65 meters of elevation change, the biggest of which is that one there into turn 3. I tried to run up here on Friday, apparently killed myself. Turn 3, heavy braking into there because you come out of turn 2, which is taken flat out, then under the heavy braking, overtaking opportunity into turn 3, and then a little short squirt down towards turn 4, which is where they are arriving now, and turn 5 and 6. That is turn 4. You can see the gravel trap there. Well, if you get into that, you're probably not coming out again, and exploring the limits of adhesion and traction is going to be quite a skill in the opening stages of this race. And if we can survive the next 28 minutes without another safety car, I will be very surprised indeed. Hopefully we can go the distance though. Robert De Haan, provisionally the new champion, who will lead the field across the line. I think it's a great idea that we're not doing a clutch start. That could be a little bit too dramatic. So overtaking opportunities up into turn 3. The cars come out of turn 1. And then it's flat out. In dry conditions, they don't even lift off around turn 2. It is just a kink up the hill towards turn 3. Another overtaking opportunity into turn 4. Then we have the windy turns 5, 6, 7 and 8. And then the cars come around here into turn 9. And it's out of turn 9 where they'll want to get a good exit. Look at those 3 bollards that you see there. They must stay on the right-hand side of those bollards. And it's into turn 10. Out of turn 10 onto the pit straight. They'll pick up the slipstream in dry conditions, maybe less so today, and it's flat out along the pit straight, up the incline into turn 1, the sharp right-hander, and that will be another overtaking opportunity. Of course, all of that happens when it's dry. In the wet, I think it's just survive and get past and create any opportunity you can. Robert De Haan will have the biggest advantage of all because he will have a clear track in front of him with the spray that is kicked up by these cars. Visibility will be absolutely nil, and so being out front and out of the traffic will be such an advantage. So safety car is remaining out. We haven't had any indication of when it might come in, so it might be that we get a few laps behind the safety car just to give the drivers opportunity to get heat into the tyres if that were possible, and into the brakes. Of course, everybody running with wet weather tyres on at the moment. Just to look at our categories, and Sasha Norden in 11th place is our leading qualifier in the Pro-Am category. Cedric Chasseng is our leading qualifier in the Am category. So all 3 of our provisional champions are leading their respective categories. De Haan, Norden and Chasseng. The cars continue. Well, we've all made it around the first lap behind the safety car, so this is all good news. The lights are still on at the moment, and when the indication is given, Robert De Haan will drop back, allow the safety car to brake clear, and then will attempt to get the jump on Horst Felix Felbermayr. A lot of these drivers learning the ropes in Cup car racing. These Porsche cars, they are wonderful machines, but they are incredibly powerful. 510 brake horsepower. The Porsche 911 GT3, based on the latest generation 992. But many of these drivers coming through the talent pool, which is coached and mentored by former Porsche factory driver Dirk Werner, and there are 7 talent pool drivers who are being trained not just in driving but also in fitness, in mental health, keeping themselves together, nutrition, finding and retaining sponsors, dealing with the media, they're dodgy, and the social media as well. So lots of training going on in the talent pool. We have the likes of Flint Suring, Sasha Norden, Robert De Haan, Dirk Schouten, and Horst Felix Felbermayr all in the talent pool, and it does a great job nurturing the superstars of the future. I think of the outgoing Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux champion Harry King, who has been racing today in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany, and we expect great things from him as he moves on up the ladder in GT racing. He has been mightily impressive. He's a Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup winner as well. He is here this weekend witnessing Robert De Haan as he provisionally takes the championship over from him after a year of being the champion. So Harry King, one of the many drivers that has come through this series. The likes of Ian Chang-Nguyen, who we've seen in DTM this weekend. He was the champion in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux back in 2018. Loic Hartog, another superstar and race winner in Porsche Motorsport Super Cup and Carrera Cup Germany. Right, red flags are out. So clearly the race director has decided that we are not in a position to go racing. This is a real shame, the closer of the season. Now, I'm not entirely sure where we will go from here. We'll wait for notification. Light is starting to fade here in the Styrian Mountains. So safety car will lead the field back, but clearly the race director has decided that it is too hazardous to try and go to green flag conditions. The clock is stopped at 24:29. So the race has effectively been running. It's Robert De Haan, Horst Felix Felbermaier, Glenn Van Parijs, the 1, 2, 3. Zakhar Slutsky, the visiting driver, in 4th. Sam Yongyan in 5th, ahead of Gilles Magnus, Flint Schuring, Dirk Schouten, Sam de Jonge, and Artem Slutsky rounding out the top 10. So into the pit lane we come. And we will wait for details to see what is going to happen next. There is Flint Schuring in the orange and black car. Dirk Schouten behind him in the yellow and red car. I have to say, Dirk Schouten has the most vocal fan club I've ever experienced. He's in the talent pool. He races for Q1 track racing. Second place has been his best result of the season so far in Zolder. And his fan club are very, very vocal and certainly bring some wonderful highlight to Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. So the cars are back into the pit lane at the moment, and we will see where we go from here. Now that's a great view into the stewards' room. There are the race directors and the stewards. You think it's an old man with a monitor? No, it's not. They have a wall of many, many angles and many, many takes on what is going on. Apparently, there was aquaplaning between turns 1 and 3, which is why the decision has been taken to bring the cars back into the pit lane. They've decided it is just too dodgy at the moment. It's a safety decision. We're hoping the weather will get better and we will be able to restart in a few minutes. We are told that we will be getting a decision about where we go from here in about 5 minutes. So we're waiting to see if this rain clears. Frustratingly, it has been dry for much of the day. We started to get some spits of rain during the DTM race this afternoon. The forecaster said it was going to stay dry today. What do they know? The GT Masters race just before this was also a little bit slippery, but then the heavens absolutely opened. Now, it looks like Lucas van Eindhoven having his car worked on there. The number 14 car, and looks like the team, I don't know if they're working on it, inspecting something. The wet tyre is off at the moment. The doors are open. Don't think the drivers are going to get out of the seats at this. Oh, well, Sasha Nord's proved me wrong. He's right. Okay, I'm going for a comfort break. So the race director is going to do a check of the lap in a bit, and he's going to see what the situation is. You have to understand, as much as we want to go racing, safety is absolutely paramount. Nobody wants to see these cars in the gravel trap. You can see in the stewards' room there, that is a perspective we don't get very often. It's really good to see, but you can see how wet it is. The brave crowd who have been witnessing great racing all weekend are braving it further, sticking it out in the hope that we're going to see some racing. I hope that I can bring you some news on that in a couple of minutes while they have a look. But as I've already mentioned, it was aquaplaning between turn 1 and 3 that was being reported by the drivers, and that is the fastest part of the circuit. You cannot go racing with these mighty 510 horsepower cars when you have not not got adhesion to the surface. Of course, the wet weather tyres can shift an awful lot of water, but there's a limit to how much they can shift. Aquaplaning is a terrifying situation to be in as a driver. I'd say that just on the road. When you're going at the kind of speeds these guys are in this series, you don't want to be doing that. So good decision by our race team as we look on at the Red Bull Ring. And we just look at Glenn Van Parijs' car, so the car that has been at the centre of the controversy. And there will be announcements just to confirm the championships. As the rulebook says, when there is an appeal to do with stewarding, with scrutineering, you cannot declare champions and award points. So they will be reviewing that, and the updates and news will be posted as and when there are decisions made, hopefully within the next few days, and we can confirm Robert de Haan as the champion. Look in the window. Hello, it's drier in there than it is out here. That's what we're saying. There is the man that I've been raving about all weekend, Sammy Yongyan. He was so impressive yesterday. My translation is not great, but I believe support me in 2024 is fairly clear. We would love to see some support for Sam Yongyan. He is such a talented young driver. You get them every once in a while that comes through and you're like, yeah, this driver is going to be something special. So sammyyongyan.nl, there you go. That's the website you need to check out if you want to get behind that driver. You want to see him in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux next year. Gilles Magnus, what an addition to the field. He's currently in the World Challenge Europe, GT World Challenge Europe, and he's in the car that was being used by Benjamin Packer and Bertrand Baguette throughout this year. There's Flint Scheuring. There's something in the water in the Scheuring household. They are really quick. Maurice Scheuring, his older brother, a race winner. We can finally say that in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany. He won at the Sachsenring a few weeks ago. He's also a double race winner in Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. And you don't do that if you ain't quick, I have to tell you. And Flint Scheuring, well, we're hoping we're going to be seeing him in Porsche Cup racing, certainly for the next few years. He is very rapid indeed. Sam de Jonge for Red Ant Racing. And didn't have a good day yesterday. Non-classified finish for him. He got a podium at Hockenheim at the Festival of Dreams, where we saw more Porsches in one place than I've ever seen before. That was a great weekend, that was, in the glorious sunshine at the Hockenheim Ring. We celebrated all that was Porsche. Here we go. It's great. This is a great profile. There's Artem Slutsky, the other of the Slutsky brothers, and they've come from Porsche Carrera Cup Italy. They were originally from TCR Racing through Hyundai, and have had connections with Gabriele Tarquini. So those who remember him as an ex-Formula 1 driver, then into touring cars, Gabriele Tarquini has got behind the Target competition team, and the Slutskys have come through that, and they have been a very welcome addition. Artem Slutsky finished ahead of his brother. They were very much in the battles yesterday. Lots of rubbing and elbows out during the racing, and they were very impressive. Sasha Norden, well, what is there to say about Sasha? He has been so good this year, and he's proven that by winning in the Pro-Am Championship. We're looking down the grid as the rain is coming down. I think our cameraman has probably run for cover. I would if I were him. Also mentioned earlier, Jani Kokea, the Estonian driver for 39 Racing. He's 40 years old. He's come from a Porsche Sprint Challenge North European Zone. Jani Kokea, who finished first in category, that's in the Pro-Am category yesterday. And that was very impressive as well. Of course, there are more than just the one championship. There is the overall championship, as already mentioned. Harry King, the outgoing champion. Robert de Haan, the champion provisionally, who is incoming. The Pro-Am champion last year was Jan Loruysen, ahead of Didier Glorier and Tom Bonen. And the Pro-Am champion this year is now Sasha Norden. He'll take over that mantle in the AM category. Last year was Sébastien Lejoux, ahead of Stein Lavette and Sven Van Loray. And they finished 1, 2, 3 in the AM championship. And Cedric Chasseng takes over that. The rookie champion last year was Lucas van Eindhoven. It's great that he has continued this year as well. So Lucas van Eindhoven still doing a great job. Currently 13th in this race, which is under red flag conditions. There's a few people that are braving it. There's a few people that are not. The slightly rusty Red Bull in the centre of the track. This picturesque circuit, absolutely glorious. Of course, it used to be the Oostenrijkring. Hello. Yes, you're on television. I'm waving back at you, if you hadn't noticed. The circuit that used to be the Oostenrijkring, as we look again at the stewards' room, conversations being had. And a bit of responsibility here. There are 25 cars in this race, and you've got to be sure before you send them out to try and race against each other. We need to be sure it is safe. The windows to my commentary position are lovely and tinted, which is great on a summer's day, but I can't actually tell whether the rain has rescinded at all. I can see large drops of water pouring from the grandstand roof, so it suggests to me the rain is still coming down. There is the confirmation of that fact. We are singing in the rain here at the Red Bull Ring. So, in the Styrian Mountains, I was here in 2019 for a gig. It was May. We did the racing on the Saturday, and it got snowed off. So all weather can happen here at the Red Bull Ring here in Spielberg in the mountains. Some people finding a little bit of cover in front of the hot dog stand. That's a good move. Good for business on the hot dogs as well. So they are diving for cover as well. Some lovely shots around here. It is a stunning place. The scenery is breathtaking. We haven't seen much of the mountains over these last few days because it has been quite cloudy and quite misty. And I'm not sure how quickly the weather moves through, but some very tolerant spectators. Plastic bags, ponchos, whatever it is, over your head. Do whatever it takes to stay dry. These are your hardened motor racing fans. These are the people that live and breathe motor racing. It's all right for me. I'm in the warmth of a commentary position. They deserve a medal out there in the pouring rain here at the Red Bull Ring. I was about to say it used to be called the Oostenrijkring, and it went through many different layouts, many different configurations. It was the Oostenrijkring for 18 years, from 1970 to 1987, and it was later shortened, rebuilt, and renamed the A1 Ring. It hosted the Austrian Grand Prix from 97 to 2003. It was also obviously a Grand Prix circuit when it was the Oostenrijkring between 1970 and 1987. You don't get this information when it's green flag racing, I'll tell you that. Then when Formula One outgrew the circuit, a plan was drawn to extend the layout, and a lot of money was invested by the late Dietrich Mateschitz from Red Bull, who did a phenomenal job. He renamed it the Red Bull Ring. Well, you grant him that. The amount of investment, it is one of the, if not the most spectacular circuits that we visit in Europe. Everywhere is pristine and clean, a lovely alpine vibe around the place, some wonderful memories of drivers past and present. The view here is spectacular. You can see so much of the circuit. And Dietrich Mateschitz invested an awful lot of money into this place, reopened it in 2011, and hosted a round of the 2011 DTM Championship there, and also the 2011 Formula 2 Championship. Formula 1 returned here in 2014 and has remained ever since. It is a circuit that always creates great racing, great stuff here in the Styrian Mountains. A very, very fast track, a very smooth track with lots of gradient, and at the moment, lots of rain and lots of water pouring down. Red flag conditions are still prevailing. I still have no information. I'm just checking all my news feeds just to make sure whether we've got any other news. Nothing as of yet. It does feel a little bit as though the rain may have died down. So we've had effectively 5.5 minutes of the race. If we are able to get it going again, assuming it is light enough, then it will be 24.5 minutes, but this is all very much subject to confirmation. As we look at the cars stationary in the pit lane, not a lot going on. Bring on the potter's wheel, that's what I say. And Well, it's some good advertising for Sam Yongyan, isn't it? He's got his car on the screen there for a nice lengthy amount of time. He goes sell that to a few sponsors. The red lights are on. The tyre barriers, well, they are remaining intact, which is the good bit about having the car stationary out on the track at the moment. We await news to see when we can go racing again. That is a big climb up into turn 1. It is the second steepest climb. They come out of turn 10, the downhill section, pick up an awful lot of speed, and then the steep climb into turn 1. It's been a spot that has attracted the attention of the race stewards over the weekend for cars exceeding track limits. Cars tend to go to the outside, try to keep the power on, power it round the outside of turn 1, then out into turn 2, which, although it's called a turn, is really but a kink, and in dry conditions taken absolutely flat out. And then the really steep climb, which is up to turn 3, heavy braking, the right-hand turn. Many a driver braving it round the outside in turn 3, and then a little bit of a downhill towards turn 4. And then it's downhill all the way from turns 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then back round to that corner you can see there. You can see the tyre marks well into the red area, so track limits, always a bit of a controversial subject here at the Red Bull Ring, not just in Porsche Carrera Cup racing, but in pretty well everything that races here. The track limits have always been an issue. There is that opportunity to use a little bit more of the track than you should to get a good run, especially out of turn 10 and up into turn 1. The race directors have put 3 bollards on the exit of turn 10, the drivers needing to stay to the right of those, and there's also 3 bollards on the exit of turn 9, but they don't tend to last very long into the race before somebody collects them and sends them flying. We're just going to look for some more information on what might be happening here at the Red Bull Ring. Okay, so just to update you, I'm very appreciative that people are waiting with us here and being very patient. We really want to see this, the season closer in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux 2023, race 12 of a 12-race season. You can see the weather conditions have been very, very poor. The rain has come in. We have had to throw a red flag. We do hope to get this race underway. It could potentially be up to 20 minutes before we get this going again. We have to be finished by 6 p.m. local time. It's currently 7 minutes past 5 local time. So there is going to be a bit of a break. So if you're watching online, going to suggest you go and put the kettle on, make yourself a cup of tea, and we hope to be back with you very, very shortly. So we're going to give you just some shots from around the circuit for the time being. I'm going to go and grab myself a glass of water. You've probably heard enough of my wittering for the last hour or however long it's been. We'll be back very, very shortly once we've got some news for you. We hope to be bringing you race 12, the final race of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, very shortly. Don't go anywhere, because when this gets going, it could be spectacular.
einfach. Ladebesprechung. So sieht das aus in der Race Control.
Hello everybody. Well, if you've stuck it out this far, we say thank you very much. We hope we're going to be able to bring you some racing. Welcome back to the Red Bull Ring. Remember us? Well, it's chucking it down with rain still, but the good bit is the rain has died down quite significantly, and the drivers have been given the instruction to get ready because we're going to try and get this thing started. So in about 4 minutes time, that's at 17:30 local time, the race will resume. It will be behind the safety car, and they're going to do a couple of laps behind the safety car. We're going to see how things are. We really do want to bring you this race. It is the last race of the season in what has been a spectacular year in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. It's been a year like no other in the series. It's seen the series grow and go from strength to strength, and we really want to go out spectacularly and not with a whimper in these wet conditions. So the race directors, the race stewards, everybody involved have been doing all that they can to get this race back underway, and we've had a word with the man upstairs, seeing if we can move the clouds along, so he's working that one out. So as you can see, and probably hear if you are joining us online as well, that the engines are running. The drivers have been told that there will be action in 3 minutes time, so we will have a couple of laps behind the safety car. We are determined to get this thing going if we possibly can. It is such a shame. We have enjoyed reasonably dry conditions all weekend, but on this surface, it is a very smooth surface here at the Red Bull Ring, and we really don't want to be risking drivers, and we don't want to be risking machinery. And I know there are people who say, oh, well, we should be going racing, these are racing drivers, blah, 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 blah. But when you are out there and the car is aquaplaning, you've got 510 horsepower underneath your right foot, we don't want to be messing around. We don't want injuries, we don't want to put anybody at risk. And plus the fact a lot of these teams run on a budget, and as much as we love to support Porsche by buying lots of spare parts, we'd rather not do it too much. So we're going to just make sure that everything is safe. Want to make sure that we can run this race in a way that is appropriate for what is an absolute top-line championship. So the engines are running. Robert De Haan is our race leader. The clock is stopped at 5.5 minutes. We've had 5.5 minutes, short memory, behind the safety car already, so 24.5 minutes still remaining. So the race is effectively in progress. We are under the red flag conditions. It's Robert De Haan who leads. He is the new champion, subject to confirmation, for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. We have Horst Felix Felbermaier, his best qualifying in this series since he joined it, and he had a great result yesterday, finishing in second place. Would dearly love the top step of the podium, and it's conditions like these that may well give him an opportunity to do that as drivers slip and slide their way around. So just to remind you, the plan is a couple of laps behind the safety car, and then a decision will be made. Whatever happens, we do need to be finished within 30 minutes. The curfew is at 1800 hours local time, so we do have half an hour in which to try and get this thing going. We're going to go behind the safety car, and we're going to check for visibility. We're going to check for aquaplaning. We're going to make sure the drivers can actually see what is going on, make sure they can see the track, and if the thumbs up is given, we will try and get this race underway. So fingers crossed, everybody, wherever you're watching us, come on, get those fingers crossed, because we want to see this. Race 12 of the season. Robert De Haan, who has been pretty dominant this year, and he won his first race at Spa-Francorchamps. He won again at Hockenheim. The second race, his third, was at Zandvoort. His fourth race win was at Zolder last time out, and he won yesterday here. He also took a couple of first place positions, although Larry Tenforder was guesting at the round in Assen in August. So as a guest, he didn't score points. So Robert De Haan also took what was effectively the win in both of those races as well. A very successful driver. He now faces the safety car that is in front of him, leading them around. So the safety car now back out on track for this race 12 of the season finale for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. You can see why we want to get this going, can't you? Because it really has been a spectacular year, and we would love to see these drivers race one more time. It will be quite the test. Robert De Haan weaving, trying to get some heat into those tyres. Horst Felix Felbermeyer in second place. Glenn van Parijs, who was excluded from the results yesterday as a result of his car failing scrutineering. He raced under appeal, and that is why we're unable to officially confirm Robert De Haan as the champion, although he is unofficially the champion. But the hearing for the Glenn van Parijs appeal will be over the next few days, and then everything will be cemented officially. It is Zakar Slutsky, who is fourth on the track, visiting us along with his twin brother. Did a great job yesterday. And then the very impressive Sammy Young-Yan in fifth place. Yeah, this is a way to learn to drive a Porsche, isn't it? Gilles Magnus, a driver you may have witnessed in GT World Challenge Europe, in sixth, ahead of Flint Scheuring. The Dirk Schouten fan club will no doubt be applauding as his name is spoken at this very moment. He's in eighth place, and Sandy Younger in ninth, ahead of Artem Slutsky, the other of them. And then in 11th place, a brand new Pro-Am champion, Sasha Norden, ahead of Etienne Plones. Lucas van Eindhoven in 13th, and Robin Knudsen in 14th place. Ariel Levy doing double duties with Porsche Carrera Cup Germany along with Horst Felix Felbermeyer this weekend. His arms are going to be tired when he gets home tonight. In 15th, ahead of Cedric Chasseng, who is our new AM champion. He's 16th in this race. Then it is Great Britain's Aaron Mason in 17th, ahead of the number 39 of Yanni Kakea. He has been very, very impressive on his debut in this series yesterday, and he won in a category. The cars coming across the start-finish line once again. Then Juan Viñez, 19th, ahead of Mike Rosenberg in 20th. Sem Geerts, who is the son of Ad Geerts, in 21st. Jamie Font in 22nd. Pete Aronson, last time I saw him in Benelux, I think it was Zandvoort last year. Different conditions here again. Ad Geerts, father of Sem, in 24th. And Didi A. Gloria bringing up the rear of the pack in 25th place. So we're heading up around towards turn 4 at the moment. You can see the visibility is not great. The clock is ticking down, so the race is underway. We've had a 1/3 distance, and there have been no changes. It's not often that we can get to 1/3 of the race and we've got all the runners still in it, so this is all good news, isn't it? 20 minutes and 3/4 remaining of the race around turn 4. A great overtaking opportunity there, but that gravel trap does catch people out into turns 6 and 7. Through the mist, the murky conditions behind the safety car. And out to turn 7, turn 8. through the slightly forested section that will bring us up towards turn 9 in just a few moments. So that'll be the couple of laps behind the safety car, and still staring, wishing at the timing screen and the message screen that we get from race control to see whether we can get this underway. 20 minutes remaining of this race. It is a race that is still continuing, so there could be points awarded here, even though we haven't actually got to green flag conditions. I don't have the rule book to hand, but I believe points, or certainly some points, can be awarded. But with the championships decided, that is all really a moot point, isn't it? So back along the pit straight we come once again. There is the room where the decisions are having to be made. All the race directors, the race stewards, they have angles on everything, and for all of the keyboard heroes that think they know best when they see an accident, the guys in that room have a better view than any of us. They've got cameras pointing in all sorts of places, and they have a great perspective of everything that is happening, and have a lot of work to do during these race weekends. The Porsche Taycan safety car still leading the way. We haven't even mentioned the safety car yet, and are celebrating 75 years of Porsche sport in the very bright colours. The electric Taycan, lovely car. It's been doing this season all season long. It's been doing all the rounds with the number 75 on the bonnet, representing 75 years of Porsche sport. Of course, we celebrated that back in June at the Hockenheim Ring in the Festival of Dreams, where we saw an awful lot of Porsches. Guess what? Safety car is in on this lap. We're going to get a bit of racing. Here we go then. Right, this is going to be tricky, but we know we can do this. 18.25 minutes remaining of this, the final race of the season for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. For those of you that have been waiting patiently, thank you. We really appreciate your support for this series. We really appreciate all of you who are watching and are cheering on. And for those of you who had your fingers crossed, job well done. Let's see if we can get a few racing laps in here. Safety car disappears off into the distance. Robert De Haan becomes the de facto safety car. Horst Felix Felbermayr, he has one car between him and potentially a first ever win in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Unfortunately, Robert De Haan, the 17-year-old genius, does not surrender positions very easily, and he would be a tough man to pass. He is provisionally the new champion of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. He wants to celebrate it with a win. So the car's now out on to the turn 9. And out towards the pit straight. Robert De Haan out towards turn 10. Any second now, he hits the accelerator, and finally we are go at Red Bull Ring, race 12, Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, through the mist and through the rain. Robert De Haan up the hill into turn 1, under braking the right-hand turn. Horst Felix Felbermayr in a solid second place. Everybody driving with the fingertips, tiptoeing around the corner. Looks like everybody's made it around turn 1. Good job there. I think we might have lost Cedric Chasseng on our driver tracker. It looks like he might still be in the pits. But here comes Robert De Haan. Now the challenge. Horst Felix Felbermayr, I think he's gone spinning. There may have been some contact from Glenn Van Parijs. Is that Dirk Schouten who's gone straight on? It is. He keeps the power on. But Horst Felix Felbermayr pointing in the wrong direction. Robert De Haan leading the way. I think it's Glenn Van Parijs. We look through the mist, who is in second place. And Gilles Magnus there as well. And it is the Zakhar Slutsky car ahead of Sam Yongyan behind. So the driver's doing a great job. Such a shame we've lost Horst Felix Felbermayr. But look at Zakhar Slutsky coming through, mastering these conditions. Brilliant stuff there. Also, Sam Yongyan really using these conditions to show what he can do. Flint Schuring in there as well. But Glenn Van Parijs, a big twitch on in second place. Robert De Haan leading the way. Gilles Magnus in third place at the moment. Let's have another look here. It was into turn 3 and a couple of cars getting together. It was Dirk Schuiten who went straight on, and it was Horst Felix Felbermayr. And understandable in these conditions, just keeping it all together. There is Ariel Levy with the driver's door open. I don't think that is for air conditioning purposes. I think that's just not sealed properly. So Ariel Levy also in the wars as well. He's currently showing in 17th place, 16th place as they come across the line. So Ariel Levy with that door flapping as well. Robert De Haan leading the way, 4.4 seconds is his lead over Glenn Van Parijs. Then this epic battle. Look at Sam Yongyan on the outside of Zakhar Slutsky. This is for the last of the podium position. So fighting side by side, such bravery and such skill there. Flint Schering also getting involved. Great stuff as they head towards turn 4 under the braking. Zakhar Slutsky in car number 2, who's in 3rd place. Then is Sam Yongyan in car number 11, and Gilles Magnus also there. And a drive-through penalty for car 15, Glenn Van Parijs. The collision that saw Horst Felix Felbermayr pointing in the wrong direction. Glenn Van Parijs says, bad weekend goes from bad to worse. A drive-through penalty will drop him to the back. Flint Schering goes out wide. Couple of wheels onto the gravel. He's going wheel to wheel with Sam Yongyan. Both young chargers in this series racing together for position. There is Glenn Van Parijs, who will have to visit the pit lane. That will drop him to the back. He chooses not to do it on this particular lap. It's Robert De Haan, who has checked out at the front some 4 seconds. In fact, he's increased that even further. The rest of the field, there is Robert De Haan into turn 1. 5.1 seconds is the gap. Now the fight for position. Sam Yongyan and Zakhar Slutsky running side by side. Yongyan has to submit out of turn 1. Flint Schering there as well, ready to pounce. How brave have you got to be to keep your foot buried in it around turn 2? Up towards turn 3 they come. The fight for position. This is for 3rd. It will be 2nd once Glenn Van Parijs has served his drive-through penalty. Flint Schering looking really good there as he challenges Sammy Yongyan. But a great fight for the podium positions. This will be 2nd, 3rd and 4th once Glenn Van Parijs has peeled off into the pits. It's advantage Zakhar Slutsky at the moment. Can he slow it down into turn 4? Sam Yongyan coming through on the inside. Flint Schering hanging it out on the outside. Great stuff. Such talented driving from these young drivers. 12.5 minutes of this race remaining. Sam Yongyan alongside Flint Schering. The 2 drivers running side by side. To remind you, Sam Yongyan has not driven Porsches before this weekend. He has taken to it like the duck to water. How appropriate is that? The back end twitches. Flint Schering though sees his opportunity. He sees a gap on the inside. The 2 cars run side by side in towards turn 9. It's Schering on the inside, Yongyan on the outside. Finally he has to give way, and Flint Schering through into position. Now out onto the pit straight. Schering will be eyeing up Zakhar Slutsky's car as they head along the pit straight. Still, Glenn Van Parijs is out on track despite the drive-through penalty. So it is the fight for 2nd place that we are looking at. And Flint Schering, he is looking very dialed in here. Sasha Norden is leading in the Pro-Am category. That is in 12th place. And Sem Geerts is leading in the Am category. That is in 20th place. On the track, up towards turn 3 we come again. Zakhar Slutsky, Flint Schering around the outside. What brilliant driving from Flint. And he passes the number 2 car. Now Sam Yongyan trying to follow in his wake, showing such skill and such bravery in these really, really difficult conditions. Already Flint Schering pulls clear into what will be a net 2nd place. Sam Yongyan going deep into the corner. Let's have another look. Flint Schering pulls to the outside in such slippery conditions to power around the outside to steal that position. position away. Fantastic driving, great stuff. So Flynn Schuring on his way through, and that is up to 3rd place. I remind you once again, Glenn Van Parijs does have a drive-through penalty. Car number 15, he hasn't served it yet. There was a collision with Horst Felix Felbermayr on the opening lap, and here he comes now into the pits. So this will be 2nd place that will be surrendered. He will come into the pits. He must keep to the speed limit. If he breaks the speed limit, he'll be back in again on the next lap. Sam Yongyan in the back there. Sam de Jonge, that's the other one, in 7th place. You saw him going deep into turn 10. Glenn Van Parijs, this will be so frustrating, having done the hard work, qualified the car on the 2nd row of the grid, fought his way up, but then that collision with Horst Felix Felbermayr has ended Felbermayr's chances of a podium, and it's also ended Glenn Van Parijs' chances. Right, here we go then. Robert de Haan leading the way. He has, unbelievably, 10.7 seconds over this, though. An epic fight for 2nd and 3rd place. Flynn Schuring into 2nd. Sam Yongyan on his debut this weekend in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux in such hazardous conditions. Then it is Zakhar Slutsky, who has been so good as well. Gilles Magnus, the driver of the number 92 car, next in line. And Sam de Jonge carrying a lot of speed into turn 4. He gets it all turned around. Robin Knutsen's there as well in the queue. Dirk Schouten in 9th place ahead of Artem Slutsky. Just a little over 9 minutes remaining of this race. We knew this would be worth waiting for, and this is a great finale for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. The positions all along: Gilles Magnus, 6th place, but now Sam de Jonge challenging hard around turn 6 and 7. They go. It's Magnus at the moment. Sam de Jonge looking the quicker of the two. He challenges again. It is Gilles who is making the guest appearance here, and it is Sam de Jonge who has the more experience in this series. Out of turn 10 they come, keeping to the track limits. It is side by side along the pit straight. Robert de Haan extends his lead to 10.5 seconds over Flynn Schuring. There's Flynn Schuring, there's Sam Yongyan in a fairly solid 3rd place at the moment. Then it is Slutsky behind him, then de Jonge and Magnus. Across the line we go with Sam de Jonge having stolen away that 5th place. Sasha Norden continues at the front of the Pro-Am standings in 12th place. Overall, Sem Geerts continues in the Am standings, and that is in 22nd place overall. So challenges for position. Dirk Schouten now getting involved as well. Robin Knutsen in there. There is Sam de Jonge in the red car, flashing the lights. Just behind him, Gilles Magnus now coming under pressure from Dirk Schouten. Bravery into turn 4 they come. Can they all get it slowed down? Dirk Schouten taking a wide line. Slutsky goes deep into the gravel. He keeps his foot buried on it, comes out right in front of his brother in the identical car. The two cars were running together on the track very much for yesterday's race, and they're fighting each other today as well. Zakhar in number 2 and Artem Slutsky in number 22. The two cars running side by side, and identical in lap times, identical in every other way as well. Pure entertainment here in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux at the Red Bull Ring. So they continue out towards turn 9. Dirk Schouten making good progress, but behind him, this is a great fight from the Slutsky brothers. But look at Dirk Schouten, who has caught up with Robin Knutsen ahead of him out onto the pit straight. We come once again. 6 3/4 minutes remaining of this race. Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux 2023 style. It is Robert de Haan who is leading 10.4 seconds ahead of Flynn Schuring. A mature drive. Anybody who keeps it on the track and brings it home is going to be a winner in my book. Car 22, a drive-through penalty. Such a shame. Artem Slutsky, after a great start to the race, and a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. So one of those blue and white cars will have to visit the pit lane, the one that is in 2nd place in that particular fight. Here comes Gilles Magnus once again in the 92 car, a more experienced driver, but Robin Knutsen goes to the inside. inside, under braking in turn 4. Can he slow it down enough? He goes deep into the corner. Magnus tries to come back at him on the inside. Dirk Schutten there as well, ready to pounce if these two get together. Running side by side in these conditions. Such brave driving. Magnus now to the inside of Knudsen. Knudsen has the advantage. He keeps the power on around the outside. Car number 3 making his second appearance of the year in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. There's confirmation of the Artem Slutsky drive-through penalty, which is now converted to a 30-second time penalty. Glenn Van Parijs is in 14th place. We saw him serve that drive-through penalty earlier on. And now Gilles Magnus coming under pressure from Dirk Schutten. Into turn 10 they come. Great racing here. This is for 6th place out of 10 through the mist and the murk and the rain, keeping the cars on the track. Skilled driving. Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, the last 5 minutes of the season, plus 1 lap, and it's champion-elect, the provisional champion, Robert de Haan, who leads the way, but the fighting continues all the way back. This is for 6th place. Gilles Magnus with his mirrors full of Dirk Schutten. Now there's some discussions going on the pit wall. Here we go to the inside. Gilles Magnus, Dirk Schutten on the outside out of turn 3. Now it's the drag to all the way to turn 4. Dirk Schutten will need to be pretty clever on the brakes here. He'll want to get it slowed down and power around the outside because this is going to be a right-hand turn. They come through absolutely neck in neck towards turn 4. Magnus just has his nose in front, but Schutten can't get it slowed down. Into the gravel trap he goes. Keep the power on. Come on, you can do it. Back out into the runoff area, out onto the track, but he's lost a whole load of places. He who dares wins. He came so close, but it was Gilles Magnus who wins that particular battle. He keeps the power on, doesn't even back off. Grass track racing, anybody? Here we go. Dirk Schutten, though, no chance of certainly no chance of a podium and a long way back. And yeah, okay, well, we all fancied a bit of grass track, I should think. There'll be some grooves there where that has been, but he finally rejoins. Let's have another look here. Such a brave move on the outside. He just could not get it slowed down. He had the anchors out. He was scuffing his feet on the ground, but it wasn't going to happen. And the car into the gravel. And it is the experience of Gilles Magnus that finally wins out in this situation. But to the very vocal Dirk Schutten fan club, they will be applauding because he who dares wins. And if he doesn't win, well, he gave it a flipping good try, didn't he? So we continue with a little over 3 minutes remaining of this race. Now, Aaron Mason is at the front of the Pro-Am race. So Aaron Mason is now our leading Pro-Am driver. And that means that Sasha Norden has gone missing somewhere. He's down to 17th place. So clearly Sasha Norden has had a moment. But Aaron Mason from the UK in 12th place overall and leading in the Pro-Am standings in this race. Still Cedric Chasseng, who leads in the AM standings, but he is not at, no, in fact, it's Sem Geerts, I beg your pardon, in 21st place, who leads in the AM standing. So good driving from him, just keeping it together in these tricky conditions. Right, just over 2 minutes remaining of this season. What has been a classic season for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. We are here at the Red Bull Ring. 2 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Robert de Haan just needs to keep it on the black stuff to take this win. This is Ariel Levy. He's been working his way up through the pack, up into 9th place. He's now behind Artem Slutsky. Slutsky to the outside and to the inside. That's Zakar in number 2. So he's made it past Artem and now up with Zakar. And Ariel Levy using a little bit of the track, a little bit extra from the track, makes it inside the marker bollard, so all's fair there. But Ariel Levy moving on up into 7th place, the first time winner at Zandvoort, up towards turn 1, under braking, and he has that covered off, although Zakar Slutsky is fighting back. And just to remind you that his brother, who is in the number 22 car, will have 30 seconds added to his time, so he really is just racing for the fun of it, because that he's going to be relegated well down the order once this race is done. Of course, as guest drivers, they're not scoring points anyway, but probably enjoying themselves in these very wet conditions. And hats off to all these drivers who have driven so well. Robert De Haan leading the way. He's around turn 6 and 7 at the moment, so I think he's going to hit the line before the clock strikes 0. So we'll have a lap, then another one before we're on to the final lap. But real entertainment, the Slutsky brothers, they've been side by side pretty well since they arrived here in the middle of last week, and they have been pure entertainment. It is car 2, Zakhar Slutsky, who's just ahead. Artem Slutsky behind, make that in front, despite the time penalty that's going to be added. They're racing for glory here, side by side around the Red Bull ring. But Robert De Haan is the man at the front, Flint Schuring in second, Sam Yongyan on his debut in Porsche racing in third place, ahead of Sam de Jonge and Robin Knutson. There is your race leader. There is the driver who provisionally is the champion of 2023. Now, the clock strikes 0. He's heading up to turn 3. So it'll be the remains of this lap and then one final lap after that. What a way to finish off your championship year. Robert De Haan has taken no prisoners. Flint Schuring, the driver who has got better and better. He started on pole position at Hockenheim, was unable to finish. He had a second place at Zandvoort. He's had a couple of third places, he had 3 third places. In fact, one of them was yesterday. But a second place again will be a great reward for what has been a really good season from Flint Schuring as he makes his debut in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. The rest of the cars fighting hard through the mist as Dirk Schouten. He's coming back. He's in 12th place at the moment after that little excursion. And look who's with him. Horst Felix Felbermayr. He went to the back of the pack, having been spun around at the start of this race. He has mastered these wet conditions on his home circuit. He has fought his way forwards, and now he and Dirk Schouten are fighting for position. Okay, it's not a podium position, but still great racing. 14th place is what they are fighting for at the moment. And Dirk Schouten doing all that he can to keep the 88 car behind. There's Glenn Van Parijs as well. He had that drive-through penalty as a result of a collision with the blue car who's currently in front of him. We're on to the final lap of the race. Those who waited were rewarded. We finally got there. The final lap of the season for Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, and it is Robert De Haan who leads the way, 10.3 seconds. A dominant, crushing display of driving as he leads away around turn 3 for the very last time in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux 2023. Flint Schuring some 10.3 seconds behind. But now we look at the driver who provisionally is the new champion, who succeeds Harry King as the champion of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux into turn 4. He just needs to keep it on the track and he will celebrate what is his championship year with a win and a top step of the podium. Flint Schuring keeping it solid in second place. Don't do anything stupid. Don't chuck it off the road. Sam Yongyan, we said look out for him. Third place, he just needs to bring that home. He's 6.8 seconds back from Flint Schuring. And then Sam de Jonge just 1.4 seconds back from Sam Yongyan. So here is Robert De Haan in towards turn 9 for the very last time. The provisional champion of Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux 2023 is going to cap off his year in style with a win at the Red Bull Ring. Robert De Haan wins the race for Richardson Racing, a dominant drive in such tricky conditions. We wait for second place, Flint Schuring across the line in second place. A great drive from him. And now we wait for the next car to come across the line. Is it going to be Sam Yongyan who comes across the line? Yes, it is. A podium on his debut in Porsche Racing. to remind you, this time last week, he'd never even driven one of these cars. And here he is, finishing in the most tricky conditions on the podium. Sam de Jonge in 4th place ahead of Robin Knutson. Gilles Magnus, a hard-fought race, guesting in 6th place. Ariel Levy, great drive from him from 15th place on the grid, keeping out of trouble through into 7th ahead of Etienne Plournes, Zakhar Slutsky, Dirk Schouten after his grass track racing, Horst Felix Felbermeyer, Glenn Van Parijs after the grass track racing in 12th place. And then it's Aaron Mason who wins in the Pro-Am standings ahead of Didier Glorier. That is 13th and 14th. Lucas van Eindhoven in 15th. Sasha Norden 3rd in the Pro-Ams in 16th. Then Artem Slutsky in 17th. Jamie Font in 18th. 19th, Mike Rosenberg. And Sem Geerts take the win in the Am category. Great driving from him, guesting here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. But their headlines once again go to that man, Robert de Haan, number 46. He's come into Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. He was inexperienced when he came in. He's pretty experienced now. He's taken to this series like the proverbial, and he has shown it in true style. It's a Dutch 1-2-3. De Haan, Schuring, Jongjan. The 1-2-3, Sam de Jonge, Robin Knutson, Gilles Magnus, Ariel Levy, and Etienne Plournes rounding out the top 8. 9th place, Zakhar Slutsky, Dirk Schouten rejoining in 10th ahead of Horst Felix Felbermeyer. Great comeback from him. Aaron Mason from the UK in 12th ahead of Didier Glorier. Lucas van Eindhoven. Sasha Norden clearly had problems at one point in the race but came back to 15th. And then Artem Slutsky after that drive-through penalty into 16th. Jamie Font in 17th ahead of Mike Rosenberg. Sem Geerts, who wins in the Am category ahead of Juan Viñas. Yanni Kakea, a quieter day than he had yesterday ahead of Pete Aronson and Ad Geerts. Non-finishers were Cedric Chasseng. Glenn Van Parijs, because he is racing under appeal, he is removed from the result for the time being. Robert de Haan, though, no doubting that yet another victory. What a way to finish off his year in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. He does it in absolute style. He's the youngest driver in the field at 17 years old. His first ever win in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux was at Spa. He's also in the Porsche Carrera Cup Great Britain. We've seen him guesting in Carrera Cup Germany. And he's also the winner of Porsche Sprint Challenge Southern Europe. Basically, if he's a Porsche, he's pretty good. There's Flint Schuring's father, who has brought up his sons, both Flint and Morris, to be championship-winning drivers. Just listening in. Not really, can't really make out what they're saying, but there is Flint Schuring, a driver with a great future ahead of him. His brother, a winner in Carrera Cup Germany and Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. And he is showing that it runs in the genes with that 2nd place. And there is Morris Schuring, who's just disappeared off to the right of the picture. But there is Robert de Haan, the driver who has stolen their headlines this year. There was an element of where did he come from, because he really just came out of nowhere. I remember commentating on him in Formula 4, and he was good, but not as good as he is in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. And he has a massive future ahead of him in Cup racing. So great stuff here. For those of you, Sam Jongjan, there's the man who's also stealing the headlines, who's desperately looking for sponsorship. We want to see him in this series next year. For those of you who did stick it out during that lengthy red flag period because of the wet weather, thank you. We hope it was worth your while. We were rewarded with great racing, some amazing skills here from these drivers in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. And as they teams, crews, families, friends all gather in the pit lane, we hopefully will have time to bring you the podium ceremony. We do have curfews and various issues with broadcast times, but I'm hoping we can get the podium to you in a few moments. Here comes the brightly coloured safety car back into the pit lane for the final time this season. What a way to finish the season. Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux 2023 has been spectacular, and hats off to the organisers, the team that have set this championship up and have grown it. It started in 2013, so we're in the 11th season, and it has grown and grown, but this year it feels like it hasn't just taken a step, it's taken a leap as a real leading championship that drivers want to be in. It's a great place to be spotted in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. Harry King was the champion here last year. He's moved into Carrera Cup Germany and Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup, and who knows what the future holds for him as we look at some of these beautiful trophies here at the Red Bull Ring that are about to be presented to the drivers. So we just wait for them to gather. I think the rain's actually stopped now. The racing stopped. The rain stopped as well. But it was a bit of a break, wasn't it? We had streams running down the pit straight, and it was the right decision to just hold fire on the racing. If we'd have tried to run it in those conditions earlier, I think we would have had a lot of damage and a lot of safety cars. And as it was, we actually ended up with it must have been a good 20 minutes of green flag racing and pure skill. And bizarrely, it's one of the few races this season in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux that hasn't had a safety car during the main green flag period. I mean, the drivers really showing their skills behind the wheel in these conditions, these slippery conditions. So once again, those of you who have stuck with this for the full 8 hours or however long this broadcast has been, thank you very much. There is Sam Yongyan. You can see how much this means. Yes, that one there. You deserve this. You have worked hard for this. People take notes. Sam Yongyan, that's a name you're going to be hearing a lot more of in the future, as indeed is Flint Schuring, the smile on his face, but the very tall Robert De Haan. He almost owns the top step of the podium nowadays, and a representative from Richardson Racing stand on the podium as we get ready for the national anthem. What is it about the Netherlands and the drivers they produce? 1, 2, 3 from the Netherlands there. We saw Larry ten Voorde clinch the Porsche Carrera Cup Germany Cup earlier today as well. Cedric Chasseng, the first of many trophies we hope in Porsche Carrera Cup racing. Flint Schuring, yet another one for the Schuring trophy cabinet. I should think they're going to need a bigger trophy cabinet with Morris scoring them as well. But Robert De Haan, provisionally the champion of 2023 in Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, and he seals it off by winning the race. Richardson Racing, they prepare that car. It is a rocket ship, and they have done a phenomenal job preparing that car and providing it to Robert De Haan. So, podium ceremonies are done. Stop for the photos, and then the celebrations commence, and they will commence into the night. It was a season that started at Spa-Francorchamps back in April. We went to Hockenheim in June, Zandvoort in June, Assen in August, Zolder in September. It all came to an end in the wind and the rain at the Red Bull Ring, but they entertained us all the way. Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux 2023 is done. We'll see you in 2024. Bye-bye.